In the heart of the Persian Empire, in a land of golden palaces and majestic halls, a story unfolds about a young woman who was simple yet extraordinary. Esther was a Jewish woman living among the exiled people in Persia, raised by her cousin Mordecai after losing her parents as a child. At first, her life seemed destined for simplicity, but God's plans always go beyond appearances. When King Xerxes deposed Queen Vashti for disobeying him, he ordered that the most beautiful women in the kingdom be gathered so he could choose a new queen. Esther was taken to the palace, concealing her Jewish identity on Mordecai's advice. No one imagined that within all the luxury and imperial protocols, God was positioning his servant for a much greater purpose. For months, Esther underwent beauty treatments and preparation before being presented to the king. When her turn came, she asked for nothing beyond what the eunuch in charge advised. Her humility and beauty captivated Xerxes, and he chose her as queen. Yet even after being crowned, Esther kept her Jewish identity secret. Meanwhile, Mordecai, who always stayed alert to palace events, uncovered a plot to assassinate the king. He warned Esther, who reported it in her cousin's name, and the event was recorded in the royal chronicles. Another piece was falling into place in God's greater plan. But the real challenge was yet to come, and would endanger not only Esther's life, but the lives of her entire people. In Xerxes' court, a man named Haman was promoted to a position of great authority. Proud and power-hungry, he demanded that everyone bowed before him. But Mordecai refused to bow as he worshipped only the God of Israel. This enraged Haman, who wasn't content to punish just Mordecai. He crafted a decree to exterminate all Jews across the empire. Like a cunning villain with the king's support, Haman set a date for the massacre. God's people were in danger, and silence now could prove fatal. In this moment of anguish and outcry, Mordecai sought out Esther, begging her to intervene with the king on behalf of the Jews. But Esther knew that approaching the king without being summoned could cost her life. Even as queen, she was subject to the empire's laws. Still, after fasting for 3 days along with the Jews, she decided to risk everything. Esther entered the king's court uninvited, a bold and dangerous act. Xerxes, upon seeing her, extended his scepter, a sign that she would not be punished. With wisdom, Esther didn't reveal her request immediately. Instead, she invited the king and Haman to a banquet. At that moment, she began to handle the situation with patience and strategy, waiting for the right moment to reveal the truth. It was the beginning of a remarkable turning point at the second banquet. With the king and Haman present, Esther finally revealed her Jewish identity and exposed the plot of extermination. Xerxes was shocked and enraged to learn that Haman had plotted against the queen's own people. He immediately ordered that Haman be executed on the very gallows he had prepared for Mordecai. The enemy's plan was reversed with divine precision. Then the king authorized the Jews to defend themselves against any attack. On the appointed day, instead of being annihilated, the Jews defeated their enemies. Esther's courage had saved an entire nation. Her obedience became an eternal symbol of faith and bravery. Esther's story is not just an ancient narrative, but a powerful reminder that God raises up ordinary people to fulfill extraordinary purposes. Her journey shows us that even in the face of fear, it's possible to trust in God's plan. Esther had no guarantee she would survive approaching the king, but her faith spoke louder than her fear. Understood, she might have been placed in that palace for that very moment. And this reflection still echoes today. How often are we placed in difficult situations without knowing that it's right there that God wants to use us for something great? The book of Esther also shows that even when God's name is not mentioned directly, his hand is moving in every detail. From Vashti's removal to Esther's rise, Haman's plot, and the final deliverance, everything fits together with divine precision. This teaches us that even when we don't understand, God is still working behind the scenes in our lives. Nothing escapes his control. Esther's faith was the channel through which the impossible became reality, and that inspires us to keep trusting, even when the challenges seem too great. In the end, the Jews instituted the Feast of Purim, an annual celebration to remember this great deliverance. To this day, this feast is celebrated with joy and gratitude, remembering that God turns death sentences into stories of victory. Queen Esther remains a figure admired for her intelligence, courage, and reverence for the Lord. May her story inspire us to be bold in our faith, to stand with wisdom, and never to underestimate God's ways. Because even when everything seems lost, He is preparing the scene for a turnaround that will change everything. Just as He did with Esther, God is still raising up people willing to say yes, even when the risk is great, because they know the purpose is greater. If this message touched your heart and strengthened your faith, don't leave without leaving your like so more people can be reached. If you're not yet subscribed to the channel, take this moment to subscribe and become part of this growing community seeking more of God every day. Also, activate the notification bell so you won't miss any of the upcoming videos. And of course, share this video with your friends, your family, with anyone who needs to hear this word of encouragement. You can be the channel God uses to transform someone's life today.